What is going on, Knicks Nation? We are live yet again here on Knicks Media to preview game number 2 against the Indiana Pacers that tip off tonight, baby. We got a special guest. His name is CK2K. You know him very well. CK, great to have you back on, my friend. Welcome to the show.
Brother, it's been a while, but we're here, man. I remember we were talking about draft and doom and gloom, and look at us in the second round. One game up, possibly and hopefully 2 tonight. Feeling good, bro. Look how far. You got a beard now, bro. That's what the Knicks did to you, man. Last time I was talking to Babyface Rich. This man got a beard now. Got a beard trying to look better than mine. Chill out, man.
Hey, that's so funny. The last time we had CK on, we had Babyface Richie. The Knicks are making me a little stressed out. I'm growing up a little bit, I guess. But how about that? CK, always a pleasure to have you on, my friend. Guys, if you have not checked out CK's channel, I don't know what you're doing. That link is down below in the description. He also goes live for every Knicks playoff game on Knicks Fans TV's YouTube channel. Appreciate you big time, CK, to hop on. But listen, man, we got to get the bad news out of the way first.
Yeah.
Our guy, Mitchell Robinson, bro. He's been playing on one leg all postseason. He is a big reason why we were able to neutralize Joel Embiid in round number 1. Yeah. And he, unfortunately, is done, man. 6 to 8 weeks. Unless this game 7 of the NBA Finals and he comes back somehow. I don't know. I'm getting ahead of myself for sure there with that, CK. But, man, Mitchell Robinson goes down. Bojan Bogdanovic went down in round 1. How do you think this Knicks team is going to be able to bounce back?
Bro, the same way we've had to all season long. This has unfortunately become our identity, but the beauty of this team is we have the depth at all these positions that we unfortunately keep losing. Mitchell Robinson, we saw his importance in the first round, especially against the likes of Embiid. And in this round, with Miles Turner and Isaiah Jackson, and they got those guys over there. Mitchell Robinson definitely could have been useful, but the silver lining is we do have a guy that was in the wings ready to go in Precious Achiuwa that can fit that mold of step up when it comes to this team. It's next man up with everybody on this team. I was gonna wear my Knicks hat, but I have a dad hat that says Hart on there because that is a huge part of our team in many ways than one. Not just in the chest, but on the back of the jersey. And Hartenstein and Josh Hart, the two of them have been phenomenal on the rebounds. So it's just about everybody next man up. And fortunately, this series, I think we still match up solid, even without the likes of a big guy in Mitchell Robinson. But yeah, it's you just want to have everybody available for times like this, right, Richie? So that's unfortunate, but I feel like we're more prepared than I think a lot of other opposing fans think we are.
Yeah, and the cool thing about the CK, we saw all season long that an injury goes down. Now, I'll be honest with you, CK. When Mitch went down in December, I thought the season was done. I was like, Mitch is the key to the defense. Yeah. We didn't have OG at the time. Deuce didn't step up, obviously, yet because you still on the bench, not playing. So at that time, I was like, if Mitch is done, that's Tom Thibodeau. We need that anchor. And then Hartenstein, of course, comes up and becomes like a player that we're all begging the Knicks to extend. And then Mitch is down for 50 games. He comes back. And I feel like this season has prepared the New York Knicks for this. To be able to handle adversity. Unfortunately, listen, we're in a championship run, and Jalen Brunson is playing like Michael Jordan, and that's not hyperbole. He literally is, okay? He actually is playing like MJ, which is ridiculous. I can't wait to get your thoughts of that. But I feel like with Mitch being down for 50 games, Randall going down for the season, Bojan Bogdanovic being down in the playoffs, OG being out for a significant amount of time in the regular season, it's prepared this Knicks team to be able to handle that next man up mentality. Precious Achiuwa is the next man up. So how do you think the Knicks are going to be able to match up against the Pacers with Precious being the primary player off the bench at the 5? Because we saw in game 1, he was getting some minutes, not a lot, but at the 4, next to Hartenstein and Mitch.
Yeah, and that's where Tibbs got to get creative, right? It's something that a lot of people call for him to get creative with it. And I think these playoffs, he's done such a good job at matching what's being presented to him on the other side. And this series to me is no different. Isaiah Hartenstein did a great job in that first game. We got to give him props for that. Hartenstein, not only just from the rebounding standpoint, from a defensive standpoint, offensively, which is what we need. We need all hands on deck with everybody offensively. So I know he's going to be great, but Precious Achiuwa's spot is literally just to come in and fill up whatever is needed of him. Rebounding, defensively, like we're not going to act like he wasn't a big piece for us closing out the series in Philly. You know what I mean? He did a very good job defensively for us, got some key blocks. good rebounder. I think you get a little more offense out of Precious, which I think can be useful in this game where we might have to stretch a little bit with the way that they play defense. But like I said, man, I feel like defensively, matchup-wise in general, I still like our chances even without Mitchell Robinson in this series. Even with Precious, and if Tibbs does go with him at the 4, most likely we're going to see him a lot more 5 minutes. I'm curious to see who's next off the bench because with Mitch out, Boyan's already out, so somebody else has to step up. I know Tibbs loves his short rotations, but he has to have at least an 8-man rotation, and I'm curious to see, is it going to be Burks, which is probably the most likely? Is he going to go Jericho, or is he going to go with who I'm praying for? Let's get some Shake Milton minutes, man. I love you know what I mean? I'm a Shake Milton stan.
Okay.
That's my the way Clyde feels about Ish Smith. Shake Milton's been my guy. Every time we saw him in Philly or Minnesota, wherever he was at, he would always bust us, and I was ready for him. So I'm happy he's on our team, and I feel like he can give us some help on both ends. So I'm hoping that might be our 8th guy, but most likely might be Burks or Jericho. But we'll see what Tibbs does, man.
Yeah, it's sad because we saw Tibbs finally go to an 8-man rotation with giving Precious some minutes. And now Mitch goes down, and then Precious the next man up. And now you're like, oh, it's back to a 7-man all over again. I don't know how sustainable it is. But at the same time, Josh Hart's out there playing 48 minutes, and he gets asked post-game, are you tired? Like, am I tired? My wife makes me tired. This Tibbs don't make me no tired. And I also love how Josh Hart is very transparent with how his dynamic is with Coach Tibbs. I feel like us as a fan base, we make it seem like, or even beyond the Knicks fan base, the NBA world, make it seem like Tibbs is forcing Josh Hart to play every minute, where I think, CK, Josh Hart says that Tibbs gives him the freedom to tell him when he wants to break, and he never does. Like, if Josh Hart wants a breather, Josh will go to the coach and say, hey, can I get a sub for a few minutes? And Tibbs will grant him that. But Josh doesn't ask for a break. So how does that really fit in your mind, from Josh Hart playing 48 minutes, Dante playing 44, Jalen Brunson playing 44? Like, there's a lot of people worried about the sustainability of our 3 guys, the main Villanova Knicks, who have been carrying this squad. Will they burn out eventually, or is this just who they are, and the entire season has kind of built their stamina up to be able to sustain this type of workhorse that Thibodeau has been doing?
Yeah, that's such a good. It's that fine line, right? It's like, which one is it? Is it a stamina thing where these guys are just that, well oiled and they can go 48 minutes night in, night out, or is it, you just got to be a little worried about the durability of these guys? And we saw Josh Hart have a little limp in game 1. It wasn't much because he shook it off and he continued to play as great as he did. But you see those moments and you're like, come on, man, we still got a few more rounds to go. We need you for these games. But how I feel, during the season, I was all about, like, stop. We don't need it. Chill him out. Like, chill out with it. We need, like, you got him on 40 minutes. That is crazy as it is. Stop it, Tibbs. Stop. But now here we are in round 2, and he's still keeping up these 48, 47, 46, 44-minute games. And he's still he's been a positive light for this team in both rounds. We saw how he started off the last series, and we're seeing how he's starting off this series. So it's like, we can complain all we want, but if the results are there, it's like, we got to give Tibbs credit, and we got to give Hart his credit for playing through the tiredness. If he's claiming he don't have it, I don't believe him for a second. But he's playing through the fatigue, playing through whatever little bumps and bruises he's going through, because it's not like he just out there running back and forth, defending and shooting the ball. You're seeing these highlights. This man rebounding the ball. Sometimes he's the entire possession. Look, rebound all the way coast to coast. So it's not like he just out there for 48 minutes going back and forth. He is doing every damn thing. Rebound at a high rate, 12.5. I think it's like 12.7 rebounds per game in the playoffs. Like, he's doing everything. So you just worry a little bit about the durability, but at the same time, if it ain't broke, Richie, don't fix it.
Don't fix it, baby. We got Josh Hart's averages right here, courtesy of our boy in the chat.
12.4.
17.9 points, 12.4 rebounds, and 5 dimes in 7 games. Bro, I mean, we know that Jalen Brunson is the leader of this team, and that was we knew he was going to tap into a new level, but I don't know if we knew about Michael Jordan level. We'll get into that. But what's your overall thoughts? I know we're breaking down Josh Hart right now. Like, I think his offensive ability has been the most impressive for me, and also, CK, I mean, the clutch shots that Josh Hart has been hitting, not only Josh, Dante as well, and Jalen Brunson, but you talk about game 1 against the 76ers. Those shots were ridiculous. And all throughout the entire series. And let's not forget game 1 last year against the Cleveland Cavaliers. He was the one that hit the game-winning shot, man. How about Josh Hart not only being the workhorse, rebounding, being pesky, getting plays for his teammates, but being the guy in the fourth quarter that needs to get the clutch bucket?
So I'm not surprised. You know what I mean? For those who watch any of my content, watch any of my videos, watching me on any stream, I get this unfortunate moniker or sticker of a Josh Hart hater, but it's because I want this out of him on a consistent basis. Josh Hart irritates me because of the amount of passed up shots that he had. Remember playoffs last year. Don't ever forget that. And a lot of time this year. And a lot of the second decisions he does, like where he'll the jump passing out of him. None of them are ever intentional. He's jump passing because he thinks he wants to shoot, but he decides not to shoot and then ends up being a turnover. Those are the kind of things that irritated me about Josh Hart, because I feel like Josh Hart, if he wants to, and we're seeing it, we saw it in game 1, I feel like he can get to the rim at will with no issue. I feel like he is one of the toughest, strongest dudes on the court. And I think he has a better jump shot than he gives himself credit for. So I've always had beef with him this entire season. Whenever he turns down shots, when he's not shooting, when he has triple doubles one night and the next night he has 4 and 6 rebounds. This is the guy right here where I feel like this version of Josh Hart, as we're seeing in the playoffs when it matters the most, this is who he actually is. And I want him to continue to do that on a consistent basis. So as far as surprise, I'm not surprised. I felt like this was always who he could be, but he held himself back from it. And game 1 was just such a beautiful sight in a Josh Hart perspective, because he just looked like he was just aggressive on both ends. There was no timidness, no passiveness. No, I'm going to shoot this. No, I'm not going to shoot this. Josh Hart, everything he did, and these highlights are perfect, everything he did was with intention. Look at the way he's driving. Like, he should be doing that on a nightly basis. I've been saying this, and that's why I've been giving a lot of criticism to him, because I know that he could do this on a regular basis. And yeah, I think this is who he's been this playoffs. I think that's who he actually is for sure.
Yeah, bro. Josh Hart's game leveling up is something special to watch. Facts. Now, of course, got to talk about this boy.
Who's that?
This boy right here is doing something special, ladies and gentlemen. Jalen Brunson. Now, listen, CK, I'll never forget. We lost the series last year in game 6 to Miami, but I thought to myself, I'm like, bro, Jalen Brunson's about to go absolutely ridiculous next year. And the reason for that is, you remember last year, the whole thing was in the new calendar year of 2023. That's when Jalen really leveled up his game, and then he started playing like the franchise point guard that we've been waiting for, and then he stepped up in the playoffs, and we lost in round number 2, and I'm like, bro, Jalen is about to do something special next year, and boy, oh boy, was I right, but I did not know it was going to be like this, bro. Yeah. Are you kidding me? Back to back, 40-point games for our boy, and let's not forget, how many points did he score the game prior to that? 39, bro. So what he's doing right now is historic. You got to put this on the screen as well, because what am I even looking at right here, CK? Okay? What am I about to show you? How is this a stat? How is this a thing? We're comparing him to MJ objectively, CK. Like, when you see stuff like this and you see the level of Jalen Brunson stepping up in the playoffs, like, what's your thoughts, man? We've waited forever for this.
Yeah.
I don't want this to become normal, CK. I don't want us to be like, yeah, just Jalen Brunson, like, I feel like it will get to that point. But like, for me, I remember where we came from,
Amen.
CK. I can't just be like, this is normal.
Amen.
Maybe you'll get to that point, CK, but I'm looking at this, I'm like, MJ, what? What's your thoughts, bro?
Right. Yeah, man. I said it. Like, we had Torrey Murray as a point guard. I can go down the list of guys that people be like, who is that? Tony Douglas. I will never forget Mike D'Antoni coming out of training camp, and he said, yeah, we are going to start Tony Douglas as our starting point guard. We've gone through a lot of interesting point guard solutions and hopes and prayers. And yeah, I love what you said, the way you said it. Like, you don't want it. Basically, what you're saying is this is so great, but you don't want us to start taking it for granted. We don't want it to turn into all right, this is just, that's just Jalen. That shit. No, I'm completely there with you, because what he's doing is special. And I don't want that to ever go away. That notion that this is special. This is not just Jalen Brunson being this. He is a special talent, showing that he is MVP caliber. Right now, I know there's an argument between him and Anthony Edwards, which is a phenomenal argument, because Anthony Edwards is doing phenomenal things over there against Denver in the Western Conference. But these two guys easily been the best in the playoffs. But I'm giving that hitch over to Jalen Brunson because Jalen Brunson is doing it through so much more adversity. He doesn't have his number 2 guy in Julius Randle. He's losing more and more key players on this roster like Mitchell Robinson, Bojan Bogdanovic. We're losing key dudes on our roster. And he's out here still playing at this high efficient rate. Yeah, he had a rough start in the Philadelphia series, but once he turned that thing around in game 3, he has not looked back. This is greatness. We're seeing greatness in front of us, and especially from a 6'1" point guard. What? What? I'm ready for the number 3 comparison. I'm talking about Allen Iverson. Where we at? Where we at with those, man? We talking about greatness. This run seems very familiar. That's all I'm saying. You know what I mean? Shout out to 2001 Philadelphia 76ers. This run seems very familiar. That dude put that entire team on his back, and we're seeing that right now with Jalen Brunson. And, you know, it's crazy, man. It's just so crazy. I got the jersey. I can't let it go out of my sight. I can't let it go out of my sight.
I got mine right there, bro.
Yes,
I might be wearing that to the Garden tonight because I did get a brand new Deuce McBride jersey.
I saw.
I did get a new Deuce jersey. I purchased that in the middle of game 1 against the Sixers after he went crazy. I'm like, I'm getting it. I'm not waiting anymore. He's my guy. And I got it. I got a Mitch jersey this year. Now Mitch went down, so I think I'm gonna wear Jalen tonight, man. I gotta wear my boy Jalen Brunson. And you mentioned, you know, his first 2 games of the playoffs, he did not play well. But what happened in those 2 games? We won.
Yeah,
we won.
Isn't that crazy? Mm-hmm.
So, like, what's your thoughts of course, Jalen Brunson leveling it up, but the players around him, Dante DiVincenzo, Isaiah Hartenstein, OG Anunoby, who we haven't even mentioned yet. It feels like the depth of this Knicks team has been our strength throughout the entire season. Yeah. But now, unfortunately, it's low-key not our strength. And the only reason for it is because of our injuries. So the depth, we're using our depth as our starters, and the Indiana Pacers are a team, they are all depth, right? They got a deep loaded bench, and our bench is low-key, unfortunately, not as good as it was throughout the season, because when we started the season, all our starters now are our bench players. Isaiah Hartenstein, Josh Hart, right? Even Dante started off the season off the bench. Yeah. Like, that's crazy. So what's your thoughts of the role players around Jalen Brunson, especially in those first 2 games against the Sixers where Jalen was not himself, but we still were able to win those basketball games? That's why I really believe in this Knicks team, that we're not super dependent on Jalen Brunson to do everything, even though we do need him to low-key get 35, 40 points a night. But at the same time, I feel like the role players have answered the bell around Jalen Brunson.
Yeah, I think it goes to his leadership. I think his leadership is beyond just what he does on the court. He definitely shows while he's on the court, but you heard it from DiVincenzo and Hart, you know, that, you know, even though his shots weren't going down, Brunson's pushing them to keep it going, pushing them to keep scoring. My shot's not falling. You staying aggressive. I think Jalen Brunson's leadership is just bounds, and just everything about him is something we haven't had in so long. But this team, man, I can't say it enough, man. Like, what other basketball team is doing what we're doing? You know, any other team that's put in a situation like us, you're instantly marking them off like, oh, that's a wrap. They lost their second All-Star. Yeah, that's a wrap. They lost their starting center again for the second time this season. Yeah, that's a wrap. You can point at any other basketball team. Like, we had to watch the Milwaukee Bucks, who apparently they're supposed to have a pretty stacked up team as well. They didn't have Giannis. They didn't have Dame here and there, but they struggled. They didn't know what to do because it's hard. It's just different with this team. This team is just on something completely different. I don't want it to ever change. Whatever the water boy is bringing this squad, whatever the meals are, the pregame meals, whatever the case may be for this team this season, it never needs to change because the aura is just different with the New York Knicks this season. They're using the Knicks fandom to their advantage. You know what I mean? Yes, we have some tough games in Garden, but the fact that they know that we're traveling with them, the fact that they know that we're here watching the games, even if we're not there, just the whole aura of the New York Knicks through injury, through depth has just been so good. Like, yeah, to your point, we're a lot lesser with the depth because our depth is now our starters. But I still feel like the heart of these guys, and I still feel like we have guys in our back pocket because we haven't seen Jericho yet, who showed some bright spots in a few games this season. Yeah, he had some rough ones, but he also had some really bright spots. We haven't seen Jericho yet. We talk about Shake Milton, who has experience in the playoffs with Philadelphia 76ers. He has not really played seriously yet. Alec Burks came here and stunk up the joint, but he had a good season prior to that. Which version will we get in the playoffs? we still got depth. It's kind of funny to say that we still got some leftover guys that are ready to go that can jump into this energy and still prove themselves if need be. So it's going to be interesting to see what Tibbs does tonight with that. Is he going to keep it close to his vest? Will he go back to 7-man, or does he go 8-man and whoever that 8th guy is? We're going to find out. But with this basketball team, I've learned early, and I'm sure a lot of fans have learned as well, we can't doubt. You don't doubt this team anymore, because they're going to find a way to figure it out. And 100%. They've done that all season.
And I love how you said that, CK, because I got to be honest. The past Knicks, every time I'm watching a game and we're down 5 or down 10, I'm like, it's a wrap. Like, they're just not going to miss. But now it flipped for me. And I'm saying this like I am not making this up. Like, when we're down 10 points, I am so confident we're going to win.
Yeah.
And I'm like, who am I? I'm usually watching these games freaking out like a panic when games don't even matter. Like, we're like 18 and like 30 in the middle of a regular season, and I'm like stressed out. But now we're in the playoffs, and we're down 9 points early in the fourth quarter, and I'm like, we got Jalen Brunson, bro. Why am I nervous? Like, this guy is going to wield us to victory, and it's so awesome that I have that actual, like, genuine confidence in my basketball team. And I feel like Knicks fans have slowly got that. The trauma of the past is gone, it feels like, for us. And there's like a new reborn life within this Knicks basketball team. You see the old-timer Knicks on the court side with this basketball team that's just bringing like the whole city together. It's like the last time this Knicks team was good, what you see those players on the court as like the number one fans, like seeing John Starks with LJ, and like just seeing all those boys out there mixed with the NBA celebrity row. I mean, it's just a really different time for this city, man. And man, oh man, they're embodying the city of New York, which is my favorite part about this Knicks basketball team. So, folks, don't forget to hit the like button on your way into the show. We have CK2K live here previewing game number 2 of round 2 of the NBA playoffs. Boy, oh boy. Let's transition into tonight's game, man. Who is the X factor? Now, I'm going to give you mine, right? Because game 1, we saw Jalen Brunson do Jalen Brunson things. We saw the Villanova boys step up, Josh Hart, Dante. But there was one player who has slowly fizzled out, and I need you to answer the bell. Deuce! We need bench help, okay? We need somebody off the bench to help out this basketball team. And Deuce has not really found his rhythm offensively in these last few games. And I'm looking at you, Deuce. We need you to step in the first quarter when you are on the court and help this Knicks team offensively. I know you're going to do your thing defensively. I know you're going to switch. I know that you're going to get into the passing lanes and full court press. I'm not concerned about that. But I want him to be aggressive. And I feel like he's been not aggressive at times, because when he shoots and he misses, I feel like he gets lost in the flow of the game and he's not getting as many minutes. And we've seen Coach Tibbs finish out the games with Deuce in the fourth quarter, but now recently Dante's figured himself out. So now Dante's closing it out. So I'm looking at Deuce McBride to step up, because the fact that we won game 1, CK, when they dropped 43 bench points or something like that, we had 3 bench points. That's not sustainable. So my guy's Deuce tonight that needs to step up off the bench. Who is your X factor that really needs to have a good game in order to close the door and go up 2-0 heading back to Indiana?
Yeah, I love that answer. That's such a great answer. Deuce McBride, I feel like, we saw his coming out party in the first round, and he slowed down a little bit. Not saying he's been bad. It's just we need that bench help from him, because there's nobody else. Bojan Bogdanovic is gone. It's your bench now, Deuce. What you gonna do with it? Love that pick. My X factor, see, I want to go with this answer, but after the game 1 he had, I don't know if I really call it, but I'm going to stick with it. To be honest with you, my X factor is going to stick to forever be right now OG Anunoby on both sides. You know what I mean? I was going to go with Dante, but
like
I'm going with
killer.
Yeah, right. And not only that, the mid-range game that he's been unlocking this season, I'm telling you, man, I've been calling him OG Kawhi Leonard Anunoby, because it's been lethal, and I want him to do more of it. But OG Anunoby is my X factor tonight. Especially if we have Dante continue to score the way he's been. The Nova boys doing what they do. OG Anunoby, I feel like is more impactful. I don't even think we saw a very good example of Anunoby defensively in game 1. To be honest with you, I feel like he could have been better defensively in that first game, which I think is a big part of why there's so many bench points. I don't think I've seen a team in this series or in the playoffs against us yet get to the rim as easily as Indiana did. And I think that's something that OG Anunoby, like as good of a game as he had and other guys had, I think that's something he's going to lock in on. Him and Deuce McBride will lock in on making sure they protect that perimeter so they're not able to get into the lane as easily. But yeah, OG Anunoby is my choice because when he's aggressive, when he's on the boards helping out Josh Hart and Isaiah Hartenstein, he's crucial. But I'm looking more at him defensively and seeing if we're able to stop the bleeding a lot earlier rather than us having to play catch up this entire game. So OG Anunoby's my guy.
Love that. OG has been coming through in the most clutch opportunities in the fourth quarter, I've noticed, like getting those steals and just getting that transition bucket. Like that play in game 1 where he stole it, somehow kept it in bounds. I thought he was out of bounds, and then apparently he was not, and then he yams it down. That was a big turning point. You saw the highlight dunk in game 6. I mean, that was ridiculous, bro. He has a wide open 3, and he sees blood with Joel down low, and he absolutely yams on his face after Joel told Hart that he's too small. Yeah, right. Look at OG Anunoby stepping up. And I like to call him the silent killer just because I feel like he does so much to this basketball team, impacting them winning without it really being noticeable. Like, I feel like even from an NBA fan's perspective that's watching the Knicks, that's not a Knicks fan. Obviously, us Knicks fans, we understand what OG's impact is, but you just watch it from an outside lens. You don't really pick up on the little things that OG does, the help on defense, the presence that he shows, hitting the timely shots. And that's another thing that I've noticed about OG. When we need a bucket, I mean, how about that, like, 3 feet behind the arc 3-pointer that he hit when he stepped up? I'm not gonna lie, when he pulled that, I was like, oh, OG, bad shot, bad. I was like, okay. I was like, I don't know if I like that shot. He hit it. I was like, okay, OG, you shut me up. So I feel like there's also another level to OG's game, offensively speaking. We know what the defense is, but I feel like there's another level of OG. He showed some flashes this season of being a 3-level scorer. You mentioned the mid-range. You mentioned a little Kawhi in him. Do you think there's an OG Anunoby game coming this series where he drops 25 plus, maybe 30? Or is he going to stick with the 12, 15 points and just do his thing defensively?
Before I answer that question, who did he guard last game?
Pascal Siakam.
Little bit of, something going on between the two of them, right?
Little boys over there, little championship homies.
You know what I'm saying? So to answer your question, I think OG Anunoby is going to have one of those stamp games because
I like that.
Pascal, there was a stretch. Like Pascal, he did a good job stopping Pascal in the beginning, but Pascal then had a stretch where he could not miss. So I expect that OG Anunoby, he's quiet. Yeah, he's really like he's to himself and like, but OG got a tough dog in him that you see come out from time to time. He's not really a big vocal guy, but you see that he takes a lot of things really, seriously. And I think that this matchup, knowing who it is, the guy that was taking all his shots, the guy that was doing this, the guy that they were building around, I think OG Anunoby sees that. And I think once he gets a few stops and he has him shooting poorly, and then he goes on the other end and starts getting it going, I think OG Anunoby definitely has the ability, especially in the Garden. I think that we're going to see definitely one of those big OG games coming at this series for sure.
When I see emotion from OG, it just hits differently. Like
when he hits a shot, up.
I'm like, okay. I'm like, gosh. Like,
yes.
I mean, Jalen hypes me up. Don't get me wrong. But like when he hits an and one, he's hyping up, looking at the Nova banners up top at Wells Fargo. I'm like, oh my God, you're getting me chills right there.
That gave me chills. Yeah, no, to close out the game like that was one of the coldest endings.
I mean, I think he's justifying the MJ comparisons. I know I'm getting ahead myself. Right. Anthony Edwards, MJ? Yeah, no, move along, Ant. I know you may move like MJ. I know you may look like him. I'm just joking, man. It's just hilarious how that is actual thing.
It's a thing,
Brunson.
Right? Yeah, crazy.
Like, that is just mind-blowing when I first saw that stat. But, yeah, shout out to OG. And the coolest thing about this team that I love is that, like, it's such a known thing, and, like, we all talk about it. But the Nova Knicks is, like, a legit thing here. I mean, we're talking about Jalen Brunson, Dante DiVincenzo, and Josh Hart. Like, we know this. They have championship experience in Villanova. We brought them in, and everyone's not clowning the Knicks, but kind of just like making jokes about it, lighthearted jokes. Like, oh, Leon Rose is trying to construct Nova. Oh, Mikal Bridges is next. But like Leon Rose is on something because chemistry translates to the basketball court, and you can feel they just know what it takes. They know each other's tendencies, even the little like fake pass from Josh Hart in Game 6 to hit that clutch 3. He felt the rotation. He knew that the 76ers were going to go to Dante. And just that little, like, those little things. And even Dante hitting that clutch shot. Josh Hart was waiting for the pass because he was wide open, but Dante pulls it. I mean, what's your thoughts of the Nova Knicks? Because when we brought in Dante, that was a narrative like, oh, Villanova Knicks. But like those three guys are literally, I don't want to say carrying us because of OG's presence and Hart and Stein and all the other boys, but it does feel like they brought that winning mindset, and it's those three as the big three in the face of this Knicks team.
Yeah, I have to give an apology to Leon Rose. I was one of them. I was not a fan. I like all these players individually, but I'm like, man, we're already so little. Like, this is great. Hart's a great piece. You know, DiVincenzo, I feel like after the season he had with Golden State, I think, you know, he's the shooter we need, but we are way too damn little. So this is going to be good, but we're possibly going to have to, you know, get rid of one of them in the bigger trade. Like, that's where I was at in the beginning of the season. I'm going to be completely honest. But when you, like you said, chemistry matters. And I even met my last video. Like, I had to go out there and say, like, this is just different. Chemistry matters. Fit matters. And the fit of these guys, it doesn't matter size, height. All that matters is heart, because heart and the chemistry and the friendship you've seen that these guys are. And it's not even just them, because like the whole entire team, it feels like feeds off of this, and they play into it as well. So yeah, you got to give Leon Rose his props for seeing this, buying in on it. And I won't lie, if there's some way, shape, or form that we can keep the Villanova 3 intact, but somehow pry Mikal Bridges on over here, you know, just get the full effect, I'm cool with it. Just keep Kyle Lowry away. I mean, we're not going to go that far with Villanova players.
My only thing about the Bridges thing, I got to ask you, because I'm curious, because I'm thinking the same thing. Doesn't that mean OG doesn't fit? Because that he's replacing OG. That's OG's role. You know, like, would you rather have McCall over OG? Like, that's how, when people say that, I'm like, you know, that's OG's role. So yeah, OG's a free agent, you know. So what's your thoughts?
It's moments like that where, you know, my name comes into effect, the CK2K mode, because in 2K, my brain's on, no, I want OG and Mikal Bridges on both ends. Like, I need them to. Who is scoring on that? You know what I mean? Like, nobody is scoring. If you but you're right. I mean, realistically, you're right. That's probably what's gonna have to happen. So I plead the fifth. I play video games and I play 2K. So my happy mind, I'm like, no, they're both going to be on this team. I don't know how it's going to happen, but they're both going to be on the team, Richie. That's my answer.
Yeah. And we're bringing back Hartenstein, and we're keeping Mitch, and everyone's coming back, okay? Yeah. And we're trading for books somehow, and Dante's not moving either. I mean, give me a break. It's happening, baby. Let the delusion continue. Now, I do want to get more of your thoughts of Dante, though, because I feel like we haven't really talked about him a little bit. And I felt like he's been a player that I've been waiting to come out. And he started off the series slow. I mean, let's be honest. He hit the clutch shot in game 2, not the series, I'm sorry, the whole playoffs. Game 2, he hit the clutch shot, that crazy game, somehow we won. But outside of that shot, he kind of has been ice cold. And then he started off game 6 against the Sixers, and the Knicks just pounded Philadelphia in that first quarter. Unfortunately, we fumbled the lead, but eventually won the game. But I kept saying on my channel, CK, I'm like, guys, we need Dante. Like, Dante is a guy that's been carrying this team offensively and three-point shooting in the regular season. Where is he? And not only offensively has he been a dog, but defensively, he's matching up against Halliburton. And Halliburton did what?
Yeah.
What did he do, CK, in game 1? I mean, I don't want to.
It was like 6 points. Like,
I don't want to wake him up or something. I know he's not watching this, but boy, oh boy, Dante deserves the credit. And Dante not only has championship experience in Nova, he's got championship experience in high school. You thought I was going to say NBA, didn't I? And the NBA, of course. He's won chips at all levels. So what's your thoughts of Dante, the big ragu? Because I think he low-key, when he's hot, this Knicks basketball team is tough to beat, especially with Jalen playing the way he's playing.
Yeah, Devo, he one of my favorite Knicks players of all time is J.R. Earl Smith. I love J.R. Smith to my core. That's one of my favorite Knicks players of all time. Short time, but he just was a vibe, because it felt right. It felt like everything he was going to put up was going in. Like, you felt confident in every shot that J.R. Smith put up. His confidence was great. DiVincenzo is probably the first player since J.R. Smith where I had that same kind of feeling. Like, he could be shooting terribly the entire night. Anytime he makes that side step, pull from 3, that back step, the pump fake, and it turns into 3, I'm always like, oh, yeah, that's going down. Even if it doesn't go down. DiVincenzo he's just been a different type of confidence, especially from a shooting standpoint, that this Knicks team has needed. We have not had a shooter like this in a long time, Richie. So to have him was great. Now, as far as the impact in the playoffs, that to me, man, I feel like that was just more of a matchup situation. The guys that we were up against in that first round, and then he's in his head, I'm not really worried about him. We saw him break out of it in that second half on for the rest of the game in game 1. I like the matchups a lot better for him here against Indiana. I think Philly just got the best of them. But I'm not worried about him because, again, of all our entire roster, DiVincenzo is probably one of the most confident guys we have. He's going to shoot 0 for 4, 0 for 5, and he's still pulling that 3 on the very next possession. That's the kind of guy you need on your team, especially in these moments. Yeah, so I think, it was just the matchups where it's a great defensive team in Philadelphia. Injuries aside, they did a good job keeping him out of it. But I like the matchup way better against Indiana, and I think Devo is going to continue how he started in game 1.
Amazing stuff. CK, before we wrap things up, I want to start talking about a little bit more about the Pacers and game number 2 and some adjustments. Okay. Now, hey, I see Knicks in 5 behind you.
What? Who said that? I was going to change it. Because I had that from the first round to 4.
Oh, really?
No, I had this from round 1. I was like, all right, I think this one might go 6. But I'm like, you know what? Nah. I like our matchups better. They ain't got no Embiid over there. Knicks in 5. So I'm keeping it up.
Keeping it up.
Knicks in 5.
You're keeping that until the finals, baby.
You know what I mean?
Hey.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Knicks in 4 until proven otherwise.
Amen.
But listen, I gotta ground us a little bit as Knicks fans, just because we can't pretend that game 1 was perfect. We can't pretend we blew them out, right? The reality is the Knicks did not play their best ball all game. And then the fourth quarter, clutch time, they figured out a way to win. Now, I don't care about that because it doesn't matter how you win. It just matters if you win. And the Knicks did win. But the reason why I bring that up is what are adjustments you want to see from this Knicks basketball team to match up against Indiana? Because they play fast, right? Their threat is their bench. The Knicks have been trying to match their, pace. TJ McConnell, the Knicks killer, we all saw it coming. I mean, we all saw it coming. And he just goes crazy on us. Like, he just doesn't end. I told my dad before the series, I'm like, you thought Joel Embiid was annoying? Yeah. He's like, because my dad doesn't, he's not tapped into opponents as much. Like, he knows the Knicks. But, he asked me, he's like, give me the scouting report on the Pacers. Like, who do we got to worry about? I'm like, TJ McConnell. That's the first guy I wanted to tell him about. And he went crazy. So how do we neutralize him? I mean, Obi going East Bay on us. Nice try, Obi. Does Tyrese Halliburton continue to be ice cold? Do we expect him to break out? Pascal Siakam. I mean, Miles Turner is a boy to handle. So what's your thoughts about how the Knicks got to adjust and not allow the Pacers to get confident? Because the one thing about the Pacers that do scare me, CK, is I don't want to manifest this, but they are one of the best teams from beyond the arc. They shoot a lot of threes. They make a lot of threes. And I feel like there could be a game where they just don't miss. So how do the Knicks avoid that and try to press them at the three-point line and just try to win this game tonight to go up 2-0?
Well, to make you feel a little bit better, one of the things that this Knicks team has done in the playoffs have been one of the best teams at guarding the 3 in the NBA playoffs so far, including this same team in game 1. So, yes, they're going to have probably a night or two where, their numbers are where they're supposed to be, but I don't think that's going to be a consistent thing. I think the Knicks pressure has been great. But as far as my key adjustments, I just have 2. One, you got to make the gimmies. How many layups did we miss? I'm not talking about fancy, crazy, contested. I'm talking about easy layups. The amount of times we got offensive, dunks too, exactly. The amount of times we got offensive boards and went right back up and missed the entire rim, or the amount of times that Josh Hart would make a great move, go to the rim, he missed it. DiVincenzo, same thing. Brunson had a few gimmies. I feel like we get those baskets. It's a completely different game. But more importantly than just that, turnovers, Richie.
Yeah.
We cannot give the ball away the way we did in game 1. We were just throwing that thing all over the place. And luckily, a lot of the time we would get a stop on the other end, but you can't give them. We just love giving these other teams opportunities to beat us. They don't ever take them, but we love to give these other teams opportunities. I'm talking about from terrible scoring first quarter, so they have these crazy leads and we have to play catch up, to the amount of turnovers we had in game 1. I feel like the turnovers and us missing our easy shots were the biggest takeaways for me in that first game. Like, if you watch back at the game, which I did like a crazy person, you see so many opportunities that we had where it's like, dang, we could have had the lead right there. Dang, yeah, that was our moment right there to get the guard, because the guard would have gone crazy. If we make that layup right there off that move, that's the moment. We take the momentum back. So to me, you got to make sure that you take advantage of every shot, the easy ones, the gimmies, and we have to take care of the damn basketball. Stop jump passing and stop trying to throw across the court. It does not work. This team is ready for that.
Love that.
That's it. Those are my 2 adjustments.
I love it. And my key adjustment isn't really an adjustment. It's just staying true to who we are as a Knicks basketball team, and that's dominating the glass, getting those second chance looks, and getting the offensive rebounds. Because the first half, I believe we got out-rebounded offensively, and I was a little concerned. I'm like, no. We cannot allow this freaking Pacers team to beat us at our own game. That's who we are. And in the second half, Josh Hart got rebounds that breaks teams like he usually does. So stay true to who we are. Crash the rebounds, secure the defensive boards as well, get those second chance looks, and just out physical, like be the force that this Knicks basketball team is. The 76ers was that physical team that we had to just gruel. The Pacers play fast. Let's allow the Pacers to play at our pace. Everyone's like, oh, we got to match the Pacers' pace. Let's slow them down and make them play our brand of basketball. And let's get this freaking win tonight and go up 2-0. I'll be at the Garden tonight. I'm excited about that. Folks, if you want to check out Knicks Fan TV's Watch Along, that will be live tonight, hosted by yours truly, CK2K.
Yes,
CK, very, very appreciated of you coming on this show as always. Anything you want to say before we get you out of here and wrap things up?
Yeah, man, I'm excited to hear what you're going to have to say after we get this Knicks W tonight, because you're going to be in the building. I can only imagine what the energy is going to be like tonight. But no, let's just get this damn win, man. I'm trying to wrap this thing up sooner rather than later. I'm sorry. Not trying to look past the Pacers, but, we are injured. We need to rest. So I need the Knicks to get on top of their thing, and let's get this dub 2-0 tonight.
2-0 tonight. You heard it here first, folks. Shout out to Kelvin for supporting Knicks fans all across Knicks Media. Guys, don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed, and subscribe here to Knicks Media. Your boys out. Knicks Pacers tonight. Tips off at 8 p.m. EST. We'll see you guys next time. Peace, and let's go Knicks.
Yeah.